Greetings everybody, it's Barry from H&W Machine Repair. Today's video is one that's been requested a lot since I did the video of disassembling the quill housing. This is basically the quill housing disassembled to the point we normally take it. We've had a lot of requests for how to remove the shaft and the gears on the side. So that's what this video is about. So let's start off with these are the parts that you may or may not need. Soft hammer, regular hammer, a couple punches, 1/8 inch Allen wrench. This is the block we'll talk about in a little bit. Regular Allen wrenches and a slap hammer. So let's get started on this thing. First thing we're going to do is we are going to remove set screws. On the front shaft, you see there's a hole here, there's a hole here. There will either be 1 or 2 set screws inside of this. Originally, they had a double stack in here. Looks to me like this one's just a single. So somewhere in the history, someone's been into this. So take that out, set it aside, make sure, yep, nothing else in there. Now let's see what we got on the top here. I think the top, let's see here. Top's probably a double stack. So once you get this out, we're going to be removing the shaft, the vertical shaft here. So if you look inside here, this shaft is what we are going to be removing, and it goes up. And that's where my little block comes into play here. This little block, this is kind of critical, so I'm going to even give you a size for this. This block needs to slide under here, and what this is going to do is support this shaft, because you're going to be prying up on the gear that's up in here. You're going to be prying that up. So you need a support shaft so you don't bend or damage your shaft here in the front. So I'm going to measure this real quick for you. This thing is basically 3/4 wide and just under a 1/2 inch, 493. I made this myself just to have something that would fit in there. So you have both set screws out here. We're going to take a pry bar and you're going to go right on the bottom edge of the gear, and we're going to pop it up. Now sometimes this thing pops up easy, sometimes this thing doesn't want to come up at all. So, well, this one's coming up extremely easy, so that's good. All right, well, there you go. That was easier. I'm going to be honest with you. 99% of the time, you're going to fight with this a whole lot more than that. So there's the top bushing. Now you see there's a little spot here. That's where the original, they drilled it when they put their set screw in. So just kind of remember, this goes up. And then this whole assembly, you see how I lifted it up and pulled it out? There's another one there. This is the cluster gear. There's a key here. Your bottom gear, there's a bushing, there's a little snap ring in there. So this is kind of a whole little assembly here. When you get it out, inspect it, make sure everything's in good shape. And I always just kind of stick it back together and set it aside. Next, we're going to be removing the, I call it the vertical shaft. So we have the same thing here. Over here on the side, you see the round cover. There's a set screw hole right here. Same thing, there should be 2 in here, but a lot of times there's only 1. It's had 2 in it, which is good. And the disassembly is the easy part. When we go to put this back together, there's a couple things I'll show you that we've got to make sure you address. All right, so we have that loose, and as you can see, you're not just going to pull that out. Now the reason this gear has to come up is because of that gear there, and I'll show you that when I get it out. This is where you kind of need your slap hammer. Now, as you can see, I have a slap hammer that my dad actually made many, many years ago. And so you may not have one of these. There's also one, Vice Grip has one. You could actually grip this, and then you just have to clean that up when you're done. You just slide this, thread this in. And you're gonna, see how it's coming out? There we go. All right. Set your slap hammer aside, you're done with that. See, same thing here. You have a bronze gear. This is a bronze bushing. That would be where your set screw is. But the reason that the elevating has to come out is because of the way it sets. When it's assembled, it's setting just like this. So this has to be out of the way to get this shaft out. So if you were just working on this shaft, you could potentially just raise this up and pull the shaft out if you needed to. But this is, I'm just taking them both out. Okay, again, once you have it out, you can see you've got the inner shaft. You have a bushing which is held on by a roll pin. There is a key in there. There's the inside gear. Obviously, in my other disassembly, there's another gear that mates here. A bushing, a washer, the bushing, and then the gear, which this is the gear that is turning against the bronze gear that, again, is in the other part of the disassembly video. So that's it. We have it disassembled. So now what we're going to do is going to reassemble this. So we basically just start over. We're going the exact same way. Now this is a little more finicky because you've got to make sure you get everything lined up correctly. So you're going to slide this back in, just kind of get it in there and put it in. Now what I like to do is I'll take my rubber mallet and just tap it in till it bottoms out. Now the odds are I'm going to have to pull this out just a little bit, but we don't know until we get the top gear in. So we will then put this back in, and I always try to make sure I keep everything lined up. And when you put this in, this upper bushing will go in last. So you're going to go in from the side, just kind of go up into the big hole here. Again, try to keep it as lined up as good as you can on the keyway. There you go, and it's going to go down in. Now this one's going in extremely easy. I'm not going to lie to you. Most times that's not the case. But we're not quite in yet, I'm pretty sure. So let me take a look here. We're pretty close, but we're not. If you look in here right now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the gears are not quite, well, they're pretty doggone close to flush actually. So let's see what we got going on. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now these are worn gears, so you can hear that clicking a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything. You know, there's a little play. I can take a little bit of that out of there. Just for demonstration, you know, you could tap this down just a hair if you needed to. Yeah. So, but the idea is you want those gears to be flush, you know, straight in. I think I can come down just a hair more. All right, now we have this in. We're going to put our top bushing back in. You just kind of line it up, slide it down in. And this is kind of a critical juncture right here. Wrap. You see this cutout here in this flat. You have to make sure this flat is in that cutout, and this thing slides down to the bottom where it's flush with the bottom here. The reason that is when you put your cradle back in, if it's up too high, it's going to catch on this bushing, and then you're not going to be able to engage your cradle like you should. So right now we have everything back together. So now it's a matter of let's get our set screws back in. And this is again another, I keep saying this is a critical point, but all of these are critical points of this. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to put the one over here on the side first. Now you can over tighten these. So when you put these in, put it in until it stops. Make sure everything's turning. And I could actually tighten this to the point where I would not be able to turn that. If you feel like you've missed the, I call it the dimple where it originally was drilled, you can always get in there with an 1/8 inch drill and drill a little bit more into that bushing and then reinstall it. So, okay, we're good here. Let's go with our upper. I said we'll do the lower first. And as I'm doing this, I'm kind of turning this. See, I tighten this up and I can tighten that up to where I can barely move it. So back it off just a hair. Okay. Now we'll put our set screw in. Our locking screw. And then top one didn't have one. We're just gonna put it in as is because that's for demonstration. But actually, if I were doing this, I would go ahead and put in a locking screw behind it. Same thing, just as you're doing this. See, there, I just tightened that up, then I just locked that gear up. So back it off. There we go. Okay. So, the key points, again, make sure you don't over tighten set screws, make sure your gears are lined up, and you want it to be as quiet as possible. This is a very worn machine, and I'll be doing some other things to it. But that's it. I have now removed and reinstalled the elevating power down feed gears. So as always, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a great day.